There you go. All right. So we have one person here with us, Michael.
Hello.
Hi.
How are
I
you?
think she has to go. Yeah, I'm good. Miss UKO, thanks for saying hi. This lady here, Caroline Ong, she was my friend in college, so
Oh,
that's cool. Yeah, miss you too, KO. And there's someone else who joined. Three Lycaria. Hi. Is that your follower or friend, Michael?
Um, I don't really know. um,
Thanks for joining.
I got to start engaging more with my posts and comments and replying to people and stuff. Yeah, it's been a very tiring journey. I had a great day. Just it's been uh, just challenging. I don't know. Lately, with a lot of inconvenience and just really deep spiritual tests or whatever all this stuff is that keeps happening to us. Um,
Well,
so yeah,
you said to me earlier that you just had a really good cry, but before we
yeah,
get into that, I just want to say to everyone, welcome to what I forgot now, I'm blanking out. Welcome to Thursday night. That's the name of our weekly lives that we're trying to do, and it's a podcast, and it's currently available on Spotify and YouTube, so you can go and check that out. But okay, Michael, so you had a good purge kind of cry before this
yeah,
call.
yeah. It was unexpected. I've had tons of these, and they've helped me raise my vibration very high, apparently. And so I guess I just observe things. I was feeling a little shadowy or whatever, a touch irritable the last couple days. Um, but not much. I've been mostly peaceful still. But I don't know. So I saw my sister today, and I also had this intake thing early in the day because I'm like eligible to receive these services. That really helped me because I've had such a non-functional life so far. Um, so I'm trying to like now that I've healed to such ridiculously deep levels, I'm finally like it's still I've been blocked pretty much still from like having a life at all. So um, I'm trying to figure out how to connect to the right support and like to connect to soul family and people locally, and I'm trying to do all this crazy purpose work with this whole neo thing that spirit has guided me on, and where I basically learned the rules to the game of life to such an extent that I know like the precise physics of how to ascend. So um, really anybody can do this. So I have no way of knowing because spirit deceives me quite often. There's really cool like dummy trails of breadcrumbs, and I get led on like a wild goose chase, and then I heal deep blind spots, and then I dream bigger than I thought I could because I get more and more peaceful and to like a higher vibration, or I get new ideas and downloads and stuff. So yeah, I may have a hard time staying on topic tonight. Feeling just a
That's
little,
okay. Well,
yeah.
what was going on before our call specifically? Like, what
Um,
was the shadow that you were processing?
well, I was. It's been really hard and lonely going through this intense spiritual awakening, um, where I've just radically realized how to efficiently raise my vibration and frequency by crying like hundreds and hundreds of times to get out all the trauma and shame and fear and um, uh, I forget. So I keep losing my train of thought.
It's okay.
Um,
What triggered it? What happened?
so um, so I guess I'm like I'm just feeling like caught in between. I guess with like it's painful, I guess, to heal so deeply that you sort of alienate yourself from your entire past. And I didn't really have many people in my life, but like, um, and my mom and sister are great, and they're very awake and and wonderful people. And it's just that it's a very stressful time for everybody, and most people don't have time to do shadow work that often. And and I've just had all this time in the world for 20 years, and to realize that, oh, the more I face inward, the more I cry and take every opportunity I can with every solar flare, basically, to see it as a chance to make more room to install more light and to raise my vibration closer to love and abundance. Um, so I've gotten so unconditionally grateful for every single thing that could be interpreted as a negative, to like ridiculous levels now, where it's like I'm bulletproof. It's like it makes you so powerful because like 2 days ago I started encountering suspiciously abnormal amounts of inconvenience, to where it was silly, like at the beach and then driving, and then my car is starting to like fall apart, some seemingly with the noises it's making. The engine light is on all of a sudden. Um, and it was just irritating me, and it was I was getting, I wasn't even like ashamed of it, or it was weird. I was just getting like, I was just disappointed, really, and I was feeling irritated at spirit because we're meant to, basically, we have no concept of what they set up, or how we're going to arrive at the version of us that understands why we had to go through all of what we put ourselves through. um, so some of, ironically, it's very convoluted, but some of the shadow we actually end up carrying is trauma we've received from how our higher aspects have treated us, because they have to make like calculated decisions sometimes to bring us into certain situations that might cause a little bit of karma, but ultimately might have a net positive effect because they help us heal something deeper, and then you eventually heal that as well. Or like sometimes they'll bring me up to the point of releasing all the fear and shame around something that's really hard to do, to the point where I'm finally free to do it, seemingly. But in the lead up, in the healing, to get to where I'm finally letting go of all of the fear and shame and doubt that could stop me from taking this action, there's parts of my being that in that time became attached to reaching that destination. So right when I'm finally ready to let go, what'll happen sometimes is the universe will block me overtly, where there will just be a whole bunch of things that just inexplicably get in my way and really demonstrate obvious evidence that we don't have free will, that it's variable priced, that it's more expensive than it used to be because of the higher frequencies squeezing us into attracting situations that we, per physics, need to attract to help us see shadow. So this manifests as car accidents. So that's what I'm a little concerned. I'm always like praying for like Spirit or Archangel Michael to watch over all the cars, because I'm in traffic now. I'm just so aware. I'm just seeing people attaching to getting somewhere and driving crazy. Um, anyway, what was I saying?
Yeah, you're fine. You're talking about the inconveniences, but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Is it getting a bit
yeah. So it was helping me.
heightened in the road?
What? Yeah,
In the road, you're noticing that people are a bit more.
yeah. And so I just kept attracting all these people turning in front of me, and all going 20 miles an hour and like a 40 speed limit, and all these weird things that just kept happening, that I was just like, mathematically, this is illogical to be this unlucky. So I could tell what was happening because I just read and interpret reality that way now somehow. Because the universe just sends these signs. Um, so then I went to like the grocery store, or okay, so I went to my therapist, and there was like this miscommunication. I was running really late, but then she had errands she felt she needed to run, so she like left the office like halfway through what our session would have been. So then I didn't see her, and then there's like, it's just frustrating, because I'm trying to be ethical and fair to myself and fair to everyone else, and I don't think we're on the same page as to what exactly happened. Um, but So then I just was out for a couple hours, then I went back and I ended up going to the grocery store, and just traffic is just crazy. And then the store, it just took a long time. And then at the end of shopping, the whole grocery store was having an issue with the entire TD Bank. So I just couldn't buy my groceries at the end of all that for a little while. My mom happened to work there, so I was able to borrow her card and get out of the store.
Right.
But I was observing inconvenience happening at such a level that at first it was irritating and I was getting like annoyed or like I was being abused somewhat. And then eventually I just got so surrendered because I know per physics that everything bad, whatever that Jason line is, everything that might seem bad is a blessing, carrying us to meet our very strength.
I just
It's so true. Like,
I just shared that with someone at the
yeah.
farmers market this evening.
And
Uh,
it's just little does he know that that's like important literal physics, basically. That if we can interpret everything with an attitude of gratitude, as he and Phil Good both say suspiciously often, um, then we can interpret all the things that we can see. If we're interpreting something as inconvenient, this is such a huge thing to realize, I think. Um, if we're inconvenience is perceived, it isn't like a set thing. Like a traffic jam isn't inconvenient to somebody who's at utter peace the way it is to somebody who's in a hurry to get somewhere.
yeah.
So I realized the something is only inconvenient if we're perceiving the grass to be greener on the other side of this obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still an element of like a limiting belief about being safe where you are, or there's still like sort of this attachment, this outward seeking, or like it connects to like how we're addicted to time. And yeah, so whatever I was trying to say.
It just tries to bring us back into more presence.
Yeah, yeah. So I've noticed that sometimes when I do experience it, it like shows me that I'm judging my now moment and I'm um, um, maybe trying to get somewhere or avoid feeling something, or it just makes me curious, I guess. And or sometimes it's just spirit being humorous, or just trying to get me to slow down and breathe a little bit or something. Um, and I noticed this like 10 months ago, but it's really, really hard to anchor in the whole being able to transcend inconvenience as a construct because it requires an incredible amount of patience when everything's going against you. Because you end up getting like this Murphy's Law thing to test you, like, are you still going to perceive inconvenience or are you at peace with where you are and recognize that this is just sort of a joke, that you're not in control. Um, so,
I know it's always, yeah. It Yeah,
have
sorry.
you,
It's
it's,
always the same way. Like when you're in it, it sucks, and then like a few minutes later, and then when we talk about it, it's like we just laugh about it because we totally get why that had to happen.
mhm.
It's going so fast now, you know.
Yeah, we're healing really deep stuff, letting go of crazy fears and shame, saying things that are somewhat controversial sometimes to some people. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. Um, these times and yeah, physics of existence. Um, what else was important? Yeah, the crying. So I don't know. So I'm vibrating at such a high frequency now that I'm closer than ever to my late father and sister, but I'm probably like scientifically like farther from my mom and my living mom and sister.
Yeah,
And it's ironic. So it's like I feel sort of alone more than ever because it's just such an isolating place to be in, this high level of awareness. And um
that's better.
yeah, and there's not a lot of people around locally that are, you know, going inward this much and who really understand what I'm talking about. So I just don't feel fully heard or understood, or I feel like I've got to sort of protect my energy, and it just makes me sad because I don't have people to talk to really in person. and then my therapist is wonderful, and she's a light worker, and she's got amazing alternative ways of doing things, and I think she's in the top 1% of therapists. But I feel like I need to, I want to hire this life coach woman. I feel like she can't really help me with what I'm going through right now, and it's tough because I love talking to my mom and my sister and my therapist, and but vibrationally, I'm actually like closer, like scientifically, to spirits, and I want to like have more affection, human intimacy, and friends and stuff, and in-person connection, um, because it's just been ridiculous how alone I've been my whole life. Um,
Yeah.
so, but I'm being healed. Spirit is getting me to this point where I'm like the most healed you could possibly be without having anything with physical abundance, so that when I get a ton of it very quickly, um, I'm not gonna, no part of me will have needed it to feel safe or enough. So it's brilliant, but
Yeah.
it's really, really hardcore that my soul put me through this. I'm gonna be really grateful really soon, and at any moment throughout it, it was barely tolerable constantly for a while, and I managed. But it's like they have to like keep things from you, because if you knew what you were going to have to go through, you wouldn't choose to stay here, because it would feel obviously illogical and like masochistic. You wouldn't, if you love yourself, and you know that there's no such thing as death. Like I wouldn't even consider it suicide anymore. I have no intention of hurting myself, but I literally see life as a video game at this point. I'm more identified as the fifth dimension, as a soul. So it's like my soul has had to, I think my soul has already been time traveling and saving my life a handful of times, because there's that, I think, that dynamic that Dolores talked about, where it was like, if you have like a choice point, then the other thing happens in the other dimension, in another dimension, like, um so if you are have suicidal ideation, then it might actually be happening in another dimension. um
Right.
And I
Okay.
believe that we're time traveling and like course correcting as we go to undo suffering, and to use intuition to direct people to downloads and choices, and to experience going through rough patches to help them optimally purge shadow, but then bailing you out sort of right before it gets cruel and unusual in terms of how deep it goes. Because there were so many times in the fall and winter where I was just so miserable with how many cries I was having, like two, three, four a day, and it felt like it was building towards just not being able to tolerate it anymore. And then a day or two before I felt like I was going to lose my mind, I would end up getting some massive breakthrough cry or downloads that would clarify things and give me hope for the next couple weeks or something.
Yeah.
And it would be, this is how it's been arranged, where it's like, eventually, oh, so I got to talk to you about the date change possibilities of things, because things keep being altered as we get closer to dates, but they have to like,
Yeah.
it's so interesting how there's multiple timelines, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can we talk about timelines actually before we
Okay.
go into dates? Because what is your perspective on, a lot of people have been saying that all the timelines are starting to merge now, and
Yeah.
like, what does that even really mean, or what is your view on that, or what has Dolores been telling you about what that actually means?
Yeah. Um, I think it basically means, I think I've been realizing lately there seems to be this like mathematical inevitability that we're coming towards this convergent point or whatever, um,
Mm-hmm.
like the top of a mountain, sort of, where we, it's like we're being pulled through the eye of the needle or whatever, and we're being like squeezed, where there's an inevitability to, as the world gets crazier and crazier, and there's all this light on the planet coming in from the solar activity, eventually we reach a point where there's no permutations that exist, where some sort of spark gets ignited that awakens a wildfire. It's spread with the internet as well, where there's going to be some point where something sparks, whether it's tied to me or our soul family or not, that that leads to this chain reaction of awakening through spreading viral videos and information, people crying, people stepping into authentic expression that have important messages that they've been sitting on for a while and they're finally ready to share. And so I think once we get to a certain point, the collective consciousness is going to basically catch the awareness that's enough to recognize what we've been in and sort of see behind the curtain enough to actually basically reach this point where we then from there we ascend higher quicker, and then we quickly reach a collective kundalini awakening, which would then trigger the great solar flash. So I think it's a moment in time. It's very trippy to comprehend what it actually is, because I was guided that it's an ongoing thing because of time dilation, and that's
Yeah.
true. But there's also a moment in time at which the the dimension barrier, like the firmament, basically cracks, and the light of heaven streams in, and frequencies blend enough uh, where that high frequency energy would bring us up beyond where time itself exists. Like time itself is a low vibrational construct. So it's hard for us to comprehend the idea that
Mm.
there is no after the flash, because the flash is the end of time itself. So what we think of our experience being once that happens, we're going to be asleep when it happens, unless we're the most enlightened people on the planet. And it's very tricky and trippy. There's a bunch of different times we're going to experience it, basically, because we're going to get into time traveling. Because once the most enlightened people on the top of this fully awakened collective, they're going to reach a level of consciousness that is like platinum, I think I was told. Like, I was told that there's Christ consciousness that's like gold or something, and that I've reached this diamond consciousness just by virtue of standing on top of a taller collective mountain. They explain the physics of how it's like, I'm not better than Jesus, but Jesus had um, a less awakened collective during his time to sort of stand at the peak of. So he would ascend before he would be able to reach quite up closer to the ceiling, because it would be like unkind to have one person get that many times beyond the average. I don't know. I think I almost ascended a few times back last late summer, because
Yeah.
my guides had me like take a Xanax to like lower my vibration. Um, it was really scary. I felt like I was gonna die. Could have just been a panic attack, but um, who knows? Um, anyway, so many things. I feel like I'm jumping around.
No, you're
Uh,
not at all.
okay, good.
We're talking about
Yeah,
timelines and time and
timeline. So yeah,
yeah.
I think basically as they converge, there is that moment where the flash would happen, but at that moment, the most enlightened people would jump back a certain amount of time to replay it, like to buy time, basically, like Doctor Strange, literally. Or I gotta watch the Flash, the new Flash movie, because it's probably about me. 'Cause I was Flash Kid 3, and it logically, like it's going to have hidden messages for me. I'm certain. I cannot
I
wait.
didn't know there was a new Flash
Yeah,
movie.
it's really interesting. And oh, by the way, that guess how the episode of Lost called Catch 22, where it has connections for Desmond and his soulmate Penny, and also his quantum flashes that he was getting that are exactly what I experienced. That episode began with a quantum flash of him walking through like a rainstorm in the jungle with Hurley and Charlie and Jin, and I think it was Hurley and Charlie were talking about who would win between Superman and the Flash, and it was just really funny. And then it sort of led into how Desmond was seeing these visions of good things and bad things happening, and trying to figure out how does he ethically handle making these things happen, letting them happen, trying to get the good result, but not wanting to get anybody hurt. It's like this ethical dilemma of being able to start to mathematically deduce the future through quantum physics.
Yeah.
Um, and I didn't realize at all when I watched that show that this was actual science that would be possible for humans. And I basically done a download recently that the show is basically a modern day Bible. That I really think it's set up I think Source and Spirit like rigged it, brought together the cast and crew. I think there's minimal predictive programming. I think there's a lot of that on Disney Plus, like in our face overt symbolism that's like mocking us.
Yeah.
But I think Lost is basically this beautiful story of existence, and I think the cast and crew are good people who are creative and are not like nefarious. I mean, you never know with like J.J. Abrams, somebody like that. I mean, he's on Star Trek and Star Wars, and you never know with possible producer types. But I like a lot of his stuff. So could he be CIA or is he just a really cool guy? Who knows? I love either way. I love him unconditionally, and I love Lost because we're all aspects of everything else. So what were we talking about? Timelines, timelines converging. So yeah, like
Yeah, okay.
so it's like as they converge, we're sort of going back and changing things. So from most people's perspective, we might have gotten to the Flash once or twice or five times already, and then jump back, not knowing that we jump back certain amounts of time because we wake up oblivious, while some enlightened superhero types wake up like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day with the awareness of what they've done in previous attempts so that they can then use that information to create a butterfly effect of more healing and less suffering to basically say it's tricky from my perspective because it's like I'm telling my mom, "Hey, I'm going to time travel soon, and you're not going to remember me, and I'm going to tell you all this information." And it's like scary, probably. Like I'm trying to be delicate with how I say these things because I know that that's what's going to happen eventually, whether it's as soon as I'm led to believe or whether it's a year or 5 years away before we actually experience the effect of the time. I think it's this summer. Who knows? But again, not for 99.999% of people. I mean, this summer for me, and then eventually this last year of your experience will be a lot better. So imagine if the experience you've had now, how hard that last year was with everything being frustrating and really being difficult with relationships and a lot of crying and strained jobs and relationships and everything. Imagine if it was twice or three times as bad as that, and you just don't remember that it was that much worse, and you're like, oh, wow, that was pretty bad. I didn't realize it was actually worse. And the Flash went back in time and helped heal humanity with his super friends. I mean, I mean, and that's the thing that's amazing. These Disney movies, these Avengers movies, they're all in our face, like real legit science. And they're incepting us, like they're just mocking us. And we can absolutely do all of these things. We're in a dream. We're creators. We can do everything that we believe we can. And we just have profoundly deep programming and trauma. Yeah. And the more you believe in magic and miracles, the more you sort of like intentionally induce psychosis by inverting your perception towards your imagination and your dreams, basically. You
Yeah,
eventually you start to experience magic and miracles in your life as you
that's my
consent to.
life.
Yeah,
That's
it's
my
just
life.
insane how it happens. It's like, well, why don't more people try this and create abundance and love and peace and prosperity? Because we just are
Wow.
programmed to not feel and face all the shadow.
Yep. Shall we go into that? How do you do that?
Um,
Practical. Time to
yeah.
get practical. Is that a good
Um,
time to talk about it right now?
I don't know. Whatever. Um, I guess just trying to be really introspective. I've been guided a lot to observe my motivations for my actions and my inactions. What am I avoiding? What am I fearing? What what scenarios could happen that would really upset me or scare me? That maybe I'm somewhat controlling because I don't want them to happen. Um, am I judging situations? Am I getting triggered a lot? And then trying to go inward and think of yourself as like a principal of a school of 1,000 kids, and think of the parts of you that feel upsetting uh, emotions or anger or sadness or frustration, shame. Um, if you think of them as like bullied kids that are like stuffed in a locker, or yeah, um, and they're just needing support, and and you think of them as like your inner aspects. So it's like if they have tears to cry, if they have emotions to feel and really express, and we're just getting triggered and we're like shoving that down, and we don't want to deal with that uncomfortable thought or emotion, and we're sort of keeping it in the shadow, and we're saying we're keeping it in separation, and we're telling it that it's not safe to feel what it feels, it's not enough as it is. And so it's like that kid stays in the locker and is like wets its pants and has no food. And but if we can treat it like it's a child, or like our inner child, or ourselves at an age we encountered a trauma of some kind, and say, oh, this me at 12 years old, or 7 years old, or 20, I had this loss or this experience or this rejection or humiliation or grief, trauma, or this person hurt me, or this breakup, or a pet dying, or anything. Like if we didn't fully express the feelings of that version of us, then it sort of just gets left in our energetic field, and eventually gradually accumulates and weighs us down and makes us sick and um, energetically imbalanced.
Yeah.
So I think of it as like handing the microphone to that child, and sort of, if we can empathize with them sufficiently to feel their feelings and cry and scream, um, whatever they're feeling, then as their higher self, we sort of then help integrate that energy and release the density and the mucus and the tears, and then we sort of put our puzzle pieces back together and unify energetically more and more. And it's a very difficult process, and we got to be patient with ourselves and just really kind to ourselves, and remind ourselves that we're safe to feel everything. That it's yeah, smile. Love is on the other side of fear. Smiles on the other side of tears are great Jason lyrics. Wisdom's on the other side of years. The other side of yesterday is here. Eventually, the date keeps changing. Um, but I might already be time traveling. I mean, we're always time traveling. If we ever learn how to time travel, we transcended time.
Well, yeah, you
So
said to me once that the orbs that we see are just aspects of our higher aspects of ourselves who are coming
yeah,
back to guide us. But yeah, I'll give an example of that. I don't feel, I'm kind of tired right now, but I'll try and be
okay.
clear. But yeah, just I think most of our suffering is caused by, or not caused by, but the root of it is suppressing emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And emotion comes from, it, well, what it means is like energy in motion. That's what it is. It's just a consciousness that's trying to move through us. And when we are not allowed to, or we do not allow ourselves to just let it move through us, then that energy gets stuck. And that's really what trauma is. And that happens for very many reasons. One, because we don't feel safe to feel them, or we just don't have the capacity to at the time. So our shadow is actually has always been there holding those, emotions that we just don't have capacity for. So I like, I've been to several of Xavier's sessions and stuff, and he talks about that, like your shadow is not bad. It's actually this part of you that unconditionally loves you, and you're already, you that it's that part of you that's already holding all these things that consciously you were not able to hold at the time.
Xavier
And so,
Dagba.
yeah, Savior Dad,
Yeah.
but yeah. And so like it's already there, and the only thing you need to do is switch, your consciousness to, because it was in the shadow
Right.
before, and now
Yeah.
you could bring light to it.
Yeah.
But I'll give like a tangible example. Like when I was growing up, my dad was very uh, uncomfortable with big emotions. And it wasn't really just him, it was more, I guess it was like the family culture, or even like the country I grew up in I mean, it's probably similar here, but you just don't really, it's just not a thing to express big emotions. And I remember clearly, when I was a child and I would be upset about something and I would start to cry, my it would just make my dad uncomfortable. It would trigger something in him. So what he would say is, stop crying,
Right.
and I have compassion for that now, because I know what that feels like, because I have my own children. And sometimes, I mean, I've grown so much over the years too, but even now that I'm in a completely different place, I still can observe that happening. For example, when I'm rushing, I
Right.
really try not to rush, because rushing is violence, according to a Rising and Felicia song. What wise men say that rushing is violence, and so is your silence when it's rooted in compliance. Anyway, so when I'm rushing, meaning I am experiencing life from a um, scarcity mindset. So when I'm rushing, or when I'm trying to squeeze in too many things at one time, and all of a sudden my son and my daughter starts getting really upset about something, it feels really inconvenient to me, and it triggers me, because I feel like I don't have time for this right now, or I don't have the capacity to hold you in this right now. But so that's kind of what happens now, but I'm very aware of that. And so I know that I can step out of that if I want to. But in the past, where I was just kind of I was not very conscious of my thoughts and my behaviors and my actions. I was just kind of like living in fear, and I was triggered a lot, and I didn't understand really what was going on within me. I experience that too, that when when my kids are having a tantrum, it's just hard for me to witness that. And so, you would, I mean, the first thing that you want to do is try and control it. Like, you'll tell
Right.
them to stop acting that way, or and it's not really because there's something wrong about their how they're behaving. It's really because I can't hold that,
Yeah.
right? It's like triggering something in me, and it's making me uncomfortable.
Right.
And so now, like, nowadays, this exercise that I do with them is, when they get really emotional about something, I know that they just have to sit with it and allow the emotion to move through. And when you really sit and observe children, what you'll see is, if you're like totally hands off, and like, they end up fighting about something, for example, and they get super upset, and they just express all this emotion, and
Right.
because they are allowed to just get it through and out, like 2 seconds later they're like best friends again,
Right.
like nothing ever
Right.
happened. Like, that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But so let me try and think of an example.
Instead of holding on to
um
grudges like adults do.
yeah, they don't hold on to grudges. So let me try and remember this. So my son is 8. No, he's just turned 9, actually, and my daughter's 6. So what was the example? I'm trying to think what actually happened. But basically, it was something like, I'm not going to remember this, but basically, my son he had some uncomfortable emotions that he was, oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I think what it was that his sister was upset about something, and it was upsetting him.
Mm.
And so I would coach him through that, and he would be like, on the floor, and like, kind of like moving his arms, and just really showing with his body how upset he was.
Uh-huh.
And so I would just say, do you want me to hold you or hug you? And sometimes he doesn't want to, and I'm like, I'm not going to. But if he says yeah, then I'll hold him, and I'll remind him that, yes, this is uncomfortable, but it'll pass, and you're safe to feel this way.
Mhm.
Like, if he's really angry,
Yeah.
it's safe to feel this way. And usually with anger, I say, does it feel like there's a volcano erupting inside of you?
Mhm.
That's how we talk about anger. And so I teach them to be aware of that sensation, because when they're in that place, then it might be wise to just kind of not do anything drastic,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And when they start to, maybe they want to hit something or hit somebody, then I would step in and like maybe hold their hands and say, I won't let you do that, because I love you. I know you don't want to hurt your
Yeah.
sister. I won't let you do that. And you've got this feeling of this volcano erupting inside of you. And I want you to recognize that. And you just need to spend time with yourself and pause. And I'm here to sit with you through this if you need me to. And I say, like these uncomfortable emotions, they kind of feel like monsters, and I
Yeah.
said that, we don't go to war with our monsters. We don't fight with them. We don't push them away. We don't banish them.
Right.
We send them love, right?
Yeah. That's
That's
beautiful.
how we that's how we
Mhm.
deal with that. We send them love. They are not really monsters. It's just information, it's just an emotion.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we're not afraid of our monsters. They're just, if you want to call it that, they're a part of us, and we need to just witness them, and we need to love them,
Yeah.
because there is just, you cannot fix things by with violence, and you
Right.
cannot, yeah. And so that's like, like a micro example, but that's, if you, blow it up to like a macro perspective, you'll see why we have war
Yeah.
in a global, scale. Or I'm not finding my words, but that is why we see
Yeah.
war outside of ourselves, because we have war within ourselves.
Right.
So you always have to start from within. And yeah, and then the other thing I want to offer with that, about that, is if you're not a child anymore, but you're still walking around with wounds and things that trigger you,
Hmm.
that what I'd like to offer uh, on that is that your triggers are your guides. So if you see something outside of yourself that is triggering you, it's an invitation for you to look inwards and say, and be curious and try to be the observer, like, oh wow, like why am I really emotional about this?
Hmm.
Right? Like,
Right.
why? Just be curious, and then that, just your curiosity alone, kind of removes that emotional charge. And then
Yeah.
you can kind of sit back a bit and you're like, huh, I wonder where that came from. And you're not in this, you're in a more conscious state, and you're not like in a reactive state
Yeah.
and doing and saying things that you're going
Right.
to regret
Yeah.
later.
Right.
So that
The
was one of
observer.
the, yeah,
Mr. Curiosity. That's a Jason song.
yeah.
I like that one.
We're both
Um,
curious
yeah.
people.
I just got a couple little quick signs where I saw my battery was 72%. Um, when I hadn't noticed it for a while, and that sort of is like a reference to my sister Michelle, her birth year. And then this car randomly just pulled up in between me and another car across the street and just sort of like stopped, and the lights were there, and it was turning around and making like a K-turn or something, and it had 66 on the license plate, which is my dad's birthday, and that's like the main number I see for my dad. So this sort of stuff happens just many times throughout the day, and I learned how to sort of read it. And
Me
um,
too, yeah.
yeah, so it just feels really, yeah, I feel really close to my dad and sister, and just really great listening to you talk about how great of a mom you are,
Oh, thank you,
um,
Mike.
and just like, I don't know, it just makes me really happy to feel like, because I feel like I have a sister in you, but then I also feel like this connection to Michelle, both telepathically and through this thing where we believe that you are like a doppelganger, like another avatar that might share a soul, like there's sort of fewer higher dimensional aspects, and then like that would be like our soul, and then it has below, like the inner aspects, and it might have multiple avatars and different incarnations. So, so yeah, it's just like I see some of her and you at times, and I'm just so excited for you and my sister Melissa to talk at some point soon. And I want some of the physical abundance to get here because it's summer and I want to connect with people and I want to help my mom and sister heal more so we can connect more deeply. And we're like in this moving situation, so it's just been really inconvenient. We've been unsettled with where we are. Like we're like sharing, we're like alternating who gets like a bed, and I'm in like the den on the couch a lot of the time. And then we're putting like air conditioners in because our central air conditioning hasn't worked for a few years. So it's just a lot of things just that are struggles that don't need to be. Like we're at a point where we really just deserve to be unlimited and have like our lives continue again because we've been in like survival mode after losing my dad and sister for like 18, 20 years.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a really long time.
yeah,
But those are
and I just,
very big traumas too.
yeah, so I'm just so excited to connect with you more and with other soul family people and connect locally with a few people, make some more friends. And so I think the thing I did this morning was a good step for me. Even though I'm feeling really peaceful and I feel like I've healed a lot emotionally, I still qualify for different services and I'm on disability. And I mean, according to the Matrix and the psychiatry, you could label me with several different diagnoses if you want, more than ever probably, um, because being this way of being is considered schizophrenic or I don't know, delusional or psychotic or something, probably by the system, because they don't want you using your imagination and believing in magic and miracles. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, the world is upside down, so
Yeah. So so yeah, but I feel like things are looking up. The Jason lyric. Three things the three things that's a real. Oh, I should sing that one. I don't know,
yeah.
but
You can sing now if you want. We don't have to wait till the
all
end.
right.
Just burst into song.
Yeah. And I'm also noticing a little dilemma I have in terms of like a challenge from spirit because I'm trying to get better with. There's nobody here. I could just start singing. We'll just whatever. Um,
Did we
um,
just lose the last person?
yeah. Um, so I was getting hot like 10 minutes ago, so I opened the windows and it's a little breezier. It's a little more comfortable. But then I'm realizing the other part of my shadow is that I'm way more uncomfortable singing with the windows open out in the street in the car when anybody walking by would then hear me very easily. So that's the dilemma because I'm trying to let go more and more and procrastinate less. I have to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, sing like what songs? Okay, I can sing part of that one at least. I don't have to sing whole songs too because there's such fitting lyrics that are important to share regardless of how good I might feel in the moment with my voice. And then, like in the videos that I want to start sharing more of, I'm sort of just jumping around, telling some of my downloads and my stories, and then singing fitting 30-second to 2-minute clips of Jason songs or Beatles songs that happen to uh, just accidentally seem to fit just perfectly with what I'm talking about. So, okay. All right, I guess yeah, I'm just conscious to whether there's anybody walking around who might hear me singing. Um, can't have that because I'm alive on the internet, but I can't have somebody walking by. I'm still scared to sing in front of my sister. And it makes me so
Really?
sad because I'm like, she's a singer. Yeah, like I'm still not great. Like I could do it if
I
I
didn't know
tried, but
that.
I'm still like, even today, just observing parts of me that are still just not all the way there. Uh,
Yeah.
and then like she'll be out and I'll feel amazing singing for like 2 minutes while she's like on the phone outside.
I'm
Uh,
surprised to hear that, Michael. I thought that
Yeah,
you've
it's
resolved
weird.
that.
I think that I think something with that cry might have gotten me a lot closer though, because that felt huge. Because it's just like with mourning this disconnection from Michelle, disconnection from Melissa, um, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, and just feeling like I'm going so high in vibration that I'm getting closer to spirit beings, which is beautiful, but then farther from human beings, which is sad. And I want everyone to heal, so and join me. Because this is very lonely to do too isolated in too isolated of a fashion. All right, so speaking about that importance of crying, Jason has this really important, as important as any song, I think, in terms of the lyrics. So it's called Three Things. So I'll start bringing part of that, and I guess I'll just leave these windows open for now, and what the hell.
You got it. You
Okay.
got it. Let's do this.
Well, there are three things I do when my life falls apart. Number one, I cry my eyes out and dry up my heart. Not until I do this will my new life start. So that's the first thing that I do. Fireworks. Um, when my life falls apart. Or the second thing I do is I close both of my eyes and say my thank yous to each and every moment of my life. I go where I know the love is and let it fill me up inside. I'm feeling like raspy and like uncertain as to whether I should do how much head voice. And this always happens to me. Gathering new strength from sorrow, I'm glad to be alive. Um, things are looking up. All right, that's enough. So yeah, I won't do the high part right now because it's just I don't know. But I can easily do it if I just go inside and let go more, or maybe I'll record inside next time. It's just a
This is
process.
like
It's a
this is
process.
like
It's
live
crazy.
action shadow show. We should call it the
Yeah, it's.
live
I want to
action
also share
shadow.
the videos of myself where I recorded myself observing the different ways spirit would impact my voice, just to show me that I'm still attaching to not being raspy and hoarse. And I'm always
Oh,
talking so much before I sing, and then I haven't, or like I smoked earlier, and then I don't. It's just so inconsistent, but it's not coincidental that it's this
no.
awkward. It's just fascinating because again, they're trying to get me to the point where I'm so free to sing my worst and not care, so that I can let go and be my most free self, where I'm not attaching to better or worse versions of my performance. But I'm about to share a
Yes.
whole bunch of songs of me singing really well from when I did record when I felt really strong. And I barely even watched a lot of this back yet. And then I watched them back, and now that I'm feeling more free, and I'm like, I'm entertained, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, I just, it's just weird. It's humbling, and I actually like myself singing now somewhat. It's tricky though. Um, and yeah, I want to connect with my soul brothers, and I'm getting clarifying ideas on how to do that. So I'm thinking I'm gonna, make a playlist and throw some things that I've already recorded into this list. And I think that might be even better now than recording videos. Like I think I can magnetize people to my page by sharing the singing and sort of being mysterious and getting their attention with Jason, definitely with his music and the Beatles connections and this deeper meaning of all his lyrics, and then some of these other Beatle brother people. Uh, yes, I'll save some of that for later probably. But some of our favorite people are apparently really close soul family, and I really think that if I could get friendly with them, that we'd have similarly interesting conversations to what Francis and I have. And we'd validate a lot of things for each other, and we'd all help each other heal, and we would team up and form the Avengers, basically, and save the world. So that would be really helpful. Um,
Helpful.
because these times seem dark in some ways occasionally. You may have noticed.
What
Um,
the hell's going on with the fires, and are you still getting the weird skies and stuff?
um, I haven't smelled smoke. I think there's a little bit of something. I think the air quality meter was higher today or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a little hazy. I mean, it's a lot of chemtrails most days. There's not many beautiful days anymore.
Hmm.
But that's not true. There, it's all beautiful. It's just it's fluctuates. So there's gonna be some good days. I think tomorrow or the next day will be sunny. I'm gonna go to the beach.
Fluctuates, like only 10% beauty today.
Um, yeah, I'm suspicious of whatever they're doing. Whether it's arson or some sort of chemical fires or something nefarious, geoengineering wise, or they're just scared of the sun. They're just trying to make it harder to shine on us so that we can not reach collective Kundalini awakening as quickly. They're just trying to
Yeah.
fortify the dam with shadow because it's getting connected by all the light, unclogging the meridians that we can't see that are between us and the sun. And once they get to a point where they're close to connecting, then that energy blends and then we go to post time. But before we do that, we'll just time travel and change time and blend time with no time, blend heaven and earth, blend dreams and waking reality until it's just gonna be so trippy because we're not gonna go anywhere. You don't need a vacation when there's nothing to escape from. That's a really good Jason song.
Ooh.
Everything is sound. What?
No, I'm just going, ooh, because that's quite a big one about being
Yeah.
present. Why do you need a vacation, right?
Yes. So we're eventually just going to get so present that we transcend time and don't even care by the time we do it, probably, because we're going to be so peaceful. Because I haven't transcended time yet, and I'm already very peaceful. And it's really
That's the
hard to do.
hardest thing. It's
Yeah,
the
we're
hardest thing.
so addicted to it. We don't realize every time we're judging our now, anytime we think there's somewhere better to get to, there's no rush. Like, why are we in a hurry to go from where we are? Why is where we are less than?
Yeah, that's
We're
I
made of
struggle with
love.
that
It's
method.
really hard. It's like we are all just conditioned. Our whole lives, we've been counting our birthdays. But I haven't mostly because I've had this trans age thing where I've just been stuck at 13 for 20 years. So that's probably part of why I've aged well and look young. My mom, too, looks young for her age. Because I'm 35, but I've just identified as a teenager my whole life, and I always look young anyway. And then now I know how to transcend aging and time. It's just I'm probably not. I'm probably who knows some amount of time away. It's very confusing. How much time is even left, and how much time will be like the end of time is when the flash happens. But the flash happens a bunch of times, and then we go back and then make it not happen. We just make it gentler and then it'll eventually happen, and then more of us will time travel, and more of us will remember that we've done this period of time more than once, and then eventually all of us will be time travelers. Eventually, all of us will go back to all the periods of time, including our past lives, and all the dreams, all the suffering will be replaced with dreams gradually. Everybody will undie gradually. We'll probably take a lot of centuries to first have a really great time being who we are now because that's all we remember for the most part. So we're going to give that human some good experiences for a few hundred years at least, a few thousand maybe, and then we'll just move around. Like we're not even going to be aware of how much time we've been spending jumping around time, and then eventually we'll arrive at the other side of the flash, which is complete blending with 5D. So in theory, there is no flash, but there is a bunch of times. But the least enlightened people will experience it fewer times. Apparently, the most enlightened people will just be jumping back and forth repeatedly. Now I see orbs in different scenes and different things and I'm like, I think this is different times I'm going to go back to, or like experiences I'm going to have, or dreams I'm going to make come true. It's really trippy. Um, and there's some interesting romantic connections to this too, with some possible lucid dream fantasy things that I've been told are going to happen to me, because I'm told I'm going to connect with my soulmate soon, but they keep pushing the date back, and so yeah, if I could have a lucid, wet dream or whatever you want to call it, sort of thing, where it's more real than this reality. This reality is just the deepest level of a dream. So when we're dreaming, if we can be lucid, it's just a higher vibration. It's like a more vivid reality, basically, where there's no judgment and suffering. So it seems crazy from our program perspective. So like anything goes because it's a dream. Um, so to be lucid and to be this healed, so that would be interesting. If they're like, okay, you got to wait an extra few weeks to meet your soulmate, so we'll give you this fantasy that your 20-year-old self had, or whatever, with some old crushes or something. Um, so that'll be interesting. That'll be quite a story. How do you kiss and tell? Like, what is that? It's like, are these people actually alive still? Would they get uncomfortable? Like if I was fantasizing about some per people that are now like just women who are 35. who are just out in the world
Oh,
that I went to school with or whatever. But yeah,
yeah.
it's my life is very interesting at this point.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed. Um, yeah, I'd like to travel to California soon, connect with soul family. I'd like to get out and do things. It's hot finally. I want to go to the beach a lot. I keep
Come to
getting.
Kentucky, Michael.
Oh yeah, I'd like to. I want to drive across country. I want to do road trips and concerts. Will I go to see Jason concerts 2023 next, or will I do 22 first? Depends on when we jump back next or first. Um, will I be on stage? What year? Which time? Eventually, ever? Probably at some point. When? I should probably start learning guitar. I should probably just go back in time. Like again, remember when Bill Murray learned piano because
Yeah.
he just kept going back and being a little bit better each day until he hires this woman. She's like, "You're already like a master," but I literally can do that if you can time travel. I mean, it's there's no limits to what's possible. Once you get to the end of time, you're like, well, heaven would have this stuff. So let's not go all the way to full on heaven yet. Let's do this gradually and enjoy the ride upward
Yeah.
in
And
frequency.
there are huge aspects of us that just want to stay, really.
Yeah.
We don't want to go there because it's not.
Yeah, we're scared of there, but then we're also just like tired of here. So parts of us want to like just get it over with, get to the flash, let's go to heaven. Parts of us are like, I'm terrified. I don't want ever want to die. What is that? I'd rather go to the metaverse and be on a computer. Like parts of us have that fear of death that's still programmed into them, because they're trying to get us so scared of it that we eventually buy into that idea. And I think even the Bible at the end was said something about like there'll be people that wish they could die and can't because they're like stuck on a computer. So that's pretty scary. Let's not let that happen.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. I
Get their
haven't added that
consciousness
to my.
was put on something where they would be able to stay like captured basically within this construct of video games. It's crazy.
The Bible actually says that?
I think it mentioned something about there'll be people that wish for death and can't have it.
Wow, that's profound.
Yeah, how do we get them? Like some of them want to go into this experience. It's like almost going into like an infinite time loop of wheel of karma that can't be broken almost.
Yeah.
That's really scary.
Wow.
It's almost
That,
like,
well, that's a different kind of hell, isn't it?
yeah, I should watch What Dreams May Come again. Robin Williams. His wife committed
Yeah.
suicide in that. My sisters and I, we always love that movie. It's dark though, because I think he had to like save, like I don't know if she went to hell or something in that movie. Um, but then my crazy walk, which I'll talk about maybe next week. Um, the fifth episode is different than what I thought, but who knows? Maybe not. Maybe they're just teasing me, and then things will be the same. I don't know. Uh, but yeah, that movie, Robin Williams. So my walk, yeah, they told me I was dreaming and in heaven, and crazy things happened. Because when you believe fully that you're dead, then you start to believe even stronger in magic. And then you manifest quicker. You trance yourself into 5D. You start to,
Yeah.
yeah. It's fun. Try it. Plant
Well,
medicine. Just try to like trance yourself into a different dimension.
do you still have, well, can I ask you, well, can we wrap up soon? But
Yeah.
I do have a last question. What are you most afraid of?
Um, I don't know. Um, the word failure is in my mind, so I'm trying to think, is that one of the top? I mean, maybe, or like rejection or betrayal. I feel like my soul has a lot of betrayal wounds, especially from some past lives, but everything is sort of mirrored into my life too, where I've had experiences to understand that. Um, I don't know. I saw some post earlier that was talking about public humiliation. Oh, I think it was like Mel Gibson was talking about that's like the number one fear people have, and that he doesn't care anymore because he's experienced it enough. Um, I don't know. What is yours? I'll think about it for a sec.
I don't know either. Well, it used to be abandonment,
Mm.
but I've resolved most of that.
Being
Um,
alone, um,
yeah,
being
being
misunderstood, never
alone.
being understood, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really afraid of being alone anymore. I mean, it might make me feel sad, but I'm not. I don't fear
Uh-huh.
it, and I don't fear death.
Right. Right.
So I'd have to think of that one. I don't think I have any like really big fears.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I don't know. I I just I feel very blessed,
Yeah,
and
me too.
whatever happens, I'll be able to handle it,
Yeah.
and I'll figure it out. So it's a good place to be. I'm sure I still have fears in there, but I can't think of one right now. So that's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have much left. I mean, Spirit has helped me transcend the fear of death like in 5 different ways at this point, and then had me let go in the most scary, seemingly embarrassing ways. So my heaviest fear and shame has mostly been taken out already, and so the other things that I have left, there's definitely some residual stuff that's overwhelming to overcome. It takes a long period sometimes
Yeah.
to overcome, like to anchor in new changes and everything. But um, it's really just trying to settle in. They were telling me yesterday about like, just settling into being me, and uh, and I can just see that there's a lot of things I can let go of now and post and talk about and just be more natural with it, and that I'll just stumble into connections and opportunities, and I don't have to like work so hard or like you were telling me too the other day. I don't have to rush. I can enjoy just being in this peaceful state more and sharing what I can, nothing more, nothing less. Uh,
I love that song.
yeah, have it all.
Yeah, do you want to do that for the closing?
Um, I guess. My mind is never in a hurry to sing. I
You
think I'm gonna close the
okay?
windows and just to feel a little more comfortable for a minute, and then have a sip of drink first.
Take your time.
Yeah, the the crying generally helps too. On the other side of crying, it's usually stronger singing. But then again, earlier today I felt really strong and didn't know I was gonna cry, and then I felt more hoarse, but just before. So it's really weird. There's no rhyme or
Yeah.
reason to my voice.
Oh, I haven't really picked up my guitar for ages, or ukulele. I need to do that. I've just been running around too much. I need to sing more again.
Okay, how does it start? Um, he's
Um, Let me
talked about that
think.
first line. He's told the story before about toxic illness.
Auspiciousness. May
Toxic
you have
illness. Yes.
auspiciousness and causes of success.
Yes. All right. I'm gonna try to start a little lower just so that I can, and just because I tend to start higher if anything, and I don't, and then when I'm
Yeah,
hoarse, it seems to affect my falsetto more, and then I just feel
it
awkward.
does get high this
Yeah.
song. Yeah, nice choice.
May you have auspiciousness and causes of success. May you have the confidence to always do your best. May it take no effort in your being generous, sharing what you can, nothing more, nothing less. May you know the meaning of the word happiness. May you always lead from the beating of your chest. May you be treated like an esteemed guest. May you get to rest. May you catch your breath. And may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. May the road less paved be the road that you follow. Oh. Well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without you. I want you to have it all. Have it all. Well, I want you to have it all. Well, I want you to have it. I want you to have it all. Uh, um, what is the next line? uh, May you
Um,
be a slap bracelet, something.
um,
May you
Oh,
keep the
dang.
chaos and the clutter off. Something about a slap bracelet.
May
I know it.
you be as fascinating as a slap bracelet.
Yeah.
Yeah, may you
May
be as
may
fascinating.
be as I'll probably change the key now. I don't remember where I was.
That's
May you be
fine.
as fascinating. How does it go? As a slap bracelet. Okay. May you keep the
Yeah.
chaos and the clutter off your desk. May you have unquestionable health. I forget how the melody of the song goes now.
May you
Having
have
no possessions, though immeasurable wealth. May you get a
a
gold
gold
star on your
star on your
next
next
test.
test.
May your
Your
educated
education.
guesses always be correct. May you win prizes shining like diamonds. May you really own it each moment to the next. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. May you never get booed off stage at the Apollo. Whoa. Well, here's to the hearts you're gonna break. Here's to the lives you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times. Oh God, a cat just ran in front of my car. Good times we got. Or is that what the hell is that? Some sort of wild nocturnal animal. Don't need money. Got a free pass. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm higher than I was before, and now I'm like hoarser than I was. But yeah, all right, let's find the bridge and pick a key and stick with it, hopefully. But it's like that. There's no, yeah, no attachments. Jason once talked about like it doesn't matter. Like 5 minutes ago, it's like it never happened. I don't know. He said something really fitting a lot of times in his life.
He's very
Uh,
wise.
mhm.
Very wise.
Yeah, he had some really good posts the other day talking about something, meditation or I don't know. He had a
Oh,
singing
really?
bowl in a post today, I think.
I haven't
Um,
seen any of his posts in my feed recently.
Yeah. New album stuff.
Hmm.
How have you heard it yet? Came
I
out
have,
a week ago.
I have,
I
yeah.
got to
I
still
didn't
listen to the
realize
second half. I listened to the first half.
we listened to it in the car the other day, and I didn't realize how many of the songs are old songs.
Interesting. One's like from yeah, a handful of years
You
ago.
know, like
Or...
it's got the irony of loneliness.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Well,
got
it's got just a
this
couple of years old.
first song.
Well, this sounds
Um,
like 2017. You're still learning some
yeah, I
of
mean,
the old stuff. It's like Sleeping to Dream was really old when it came out 5-ish years ago on the album No. It was like 20 years old at that point. And I'm Yours was like 5 years old when it came out, or 4 or something.
yeah. So I think I don't know if it's like half of the songs are completely new and then half are not. I haven't counted it, but
Yeah.
I recognize some of
Yeah.
them, because you shared them with me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I guess it's like a re-release or something. I don't know if you recorded it again or if it's the
Well,
same song.
we're familiar with some of them because of live performances where he sort of road tests them with Raining Jane and stuff. So certain things just
Oh,
don't
so
make
it is.
previous albums. I mean, most of them aren't new, but like a couple of them are probably 5 or 6 years old. But I think most of them are from the last 2 or 3 years. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I love Disco Sun. I was singing that one last week or something.
yeah, I do. I
More we
do
share.
like that song. I
Yeah,
haven't heard it much.
I know that one's not on the album, is it? The More We Share.
The new album? No.
There should be more than 10 tracks. There should be more bonus. I want, yeah,
You want
another
new
live album.
stuff?
Yeah, I'm gonna record a live album for my Beatle brothers. There's also many cars in the neighborhood lately driving around.
When are you doing that? Are you, oh, we'll talk about it off camera.
Okay, I forget where we're
Your
at. Oh yeah,
plan.
yeah,
Oh,
just
your
messaging people.
videos.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
gradually share things on my page. I'll gradually reply to people, try to be more social, and but not try to like force anything before it's time. I'll make connections with different soul family people, regardless of who they might have been in past lives. Um, and yeah, just different kindred spirits that we follow, that we feel we can put our heads together and help people even more. So I think things are coming together for a lot of people with soulmates and soul families and purpose work, and but we're also just sort of being squeezed to this. It's weird because it's like there's still this inevitability that we almost have to reach the flash in some way to then have a break to then go back. And but then again, we made it to summer, so I'm in a way I'm almost like, okay, it wouldn't be the worst thing if it was a month and a half away, depending on if there's a chance I can connect with my soulmate weeks before or if it has to be right before the flash. Whether we're so energetically powerful that we have to be kept apart until right before the flash. That would be annoying unless the flash is in the next month. But again,
You
if it
know, I
is,
keep
nobody's going to
saying,
know it because they're just going to wake up a year ago and relive it and get back to right now with less suffering and just have no idea. And then the flash will be a little later, or it'll be the same, and then they'll forget again, and then it's really going to be confusing for most people for a while as
yeah,
to why I keep knowing so much. Oh, I've done this before. 2022, last year. It's like, so she's like 18, and then if it's the same girl that my spirit has seemingly told me mathematically is the likely person, she eventually has to realize this, and I have to wait and respect her choices. But if she is my soulmate, and then we connect, and then we go back in time, then she'll be 17, and I'll be 34. But we will have actually lived longer than that, and she would be like, "Hey, mom, dad, I did actually finish high school already. I'm not dropping out. I know it seems from your perspective like I'm just quitting school a year, but I literally just graduated and then time traveled back. I swear. And here's a list of ways I can prove it to you. I'm gonna have to like research lottery numbers and sports results of like those first couple days before the butterfly effect changes too much, and see if I can just win some lotteries and make this easier to explain to people delicately in a fun way that can be helpful, fun for them as well, and not too ridiculous. I mean, how are they gonna? How, like my mom and sister now are just, oh, you're talking about time travel now, okay? No, they're receptive, but I mean, like them 12 months ago, if I just am suddenly like the most enlightened person ever after not seeming that crazy quite yet last July until the second half of it, but I'm going back to the middle before I got crazy, crazy.
yeah, well, apparently you can't get it wrong. So you obviously did
Yeah,
what you did at the right time in
yeah.
the
Well,
exact right moment.
whatever we do wrong, we'll time travel back and fix before we realize it and
Well,
fix it.
maybe we don't have to fix it because there's no such thing as right or wrong in the higher
Right,
realms.
right.
Ooh.
Yes. Right.
Anyway, I need to go to bed.
All right.
I don't know. I had a long day. But yeah, thank you very much for the songs
You're welcome.
and
Yeah, I
the
felt better on the
insights.
second
And
one. Yeah, it was good.
yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
So next
Do some
week,
Beatles stuff next week. Yeah.
7/7. Is it 7/7 already?
Yeah, 7/6 for the episode, and then 7/7 on
Seven
the Friday.
six.
So, will I connect with my soulmate? Will I save the world in a week? I mean, that sounds like they basically gave me the sense that like I have the remote control. They basically tell me all the time, and they're like, you can choose how to. It's overwhelming because I don't want people to think I'm like controlling their lives. It's more just it's such a weird dynamic to be in, but like they're basically saying I don't have to force myself to be 7 days from now. I mean, look how hard it is for me to sing for two people. Um, 7 days from now, can I talk to a billion people on the internet? Like, if I'm not ready to do that, like, or if it would be kinder to give me a month, like, because like, it's not that many steps. All I have to do is connect with the right people and get them to promote me, and then once we get enough, once we get to 100 people, 200 people, like, it'll go up to, it won't stop because of what we've been
Yeah.
talking about. Once we choose to share everything or whatever, but um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can say too much. It's all good.
Yeah, we're all
So
good.
it's
Just
just they don't want me to feel like it's like some destination I have to hurry towards. So it might be more like a month, or it might change as we go, just continuously. But it's gonna be good for
non-attachment.
all of us. Things are looking up. There's a lot of peace, abundance. Gradually, we're just finishing up detoxing a lot of shadow, and then a lot of people are just getting started. But yeah, we're just getting started, as Jason song on the new album. So yeah, I'll
Yep,
just stop talking at some point, hopefully.
I heard that. I did hear that, and I'm like, yep, we're just getting started.
Yeah,
Let's get this show on the road.
yeah. This mystical, magical, rhythmical, radical ride.
I love it. I love the title of that
Yeah,
album.
yeah.
All right, good night,
All
dear
right.
friend
Good night.
and brother. And
Good
I will
night.
see you next week on 7/6 for the very
All
special
right.
fifth episode
Yeah.
of Welcome to Thursday Night.
Freedom. And lucky love. Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.
Love
Good
you.
night. Love
Bye.
you.
Good
See you,
night.
Francis. Bye.
See ya. Bye.